everyone, today I'll be doing a solo Grandmaster GM Warden of Nothing with Hunter. For my subclass, I'll be using Night Stalker. Here are the mods and fragments I'll be using this video. For my kinetic, I'll be using the Midnight Coup or the Midnight Hand Cannon. Next, I'll be using a solar pulse rifle, and for the heavy, the famous Leviathan's Breath with Catalyst. This week, I decided to go for Leviathan's Breath. Now, before people comment, this is the footage that I completely forgot. Yes, I actually forgot that I did this run. I forgot that I recorded it. And during this time, I was 2005 power level, so around minus 36, minus 35. So I'm actually doing the solo harder than an actual GM, even though it is, of course, a GM, but it's way more. They're more tanky, and based on your power level is the damage you're going to do and the resilience that you're going to have. So depending of the power level you have, the ads are going to hurt you pretty bad. And yes, I am on top of this platform because honestly, I just cannot deal with this Loadout champion at this power level. So I was struggling of trying to grind the XP, and the XP was absolutely ridiculous throughout this whole season. And yes, I'm not going to time skip this, so I was suffering a lot, and I want you guys to suffer as well to see how much damage I'm doing compared to, well, episode 3 or act 3. I'm just going to call it the mini season act 3 or mini season 3. And it was just a struggle doing the GMs at low power level, and at the same time I was trying to level up XP, but then I was capped rank 100. All right, and there was just no way I could have farmed so much bounties of leveling up the artifact. And it was to the point where I actually had to wait and save all these tramps to level up for the Act 2. And even though I was at Act 2, it still wasn't enough for the right power level to do solo GMs. And then it forced me to spam abilities, and I wasn't really too happy about it, but there was just no choice, and that's why I was spamming a lot of Warlock. And I'm actually thinking of spamming more Warlock for this season because honestly, there's just not a lot of time. So, the checkpoints, they're available. Act 3, and we only have a couple of weeks for this season to even end. And I think the strategy, the gaming design layout is poor, really bad. I'm sorry if I'm ranting. I wish I could make a video and just talk more about it and, roast a little bit, but it's just so bad. But yeah, I'm going to be sparing my way and dealing with more champions. Let me just move the mic a little bit. But I am using the Midnight Coup. And the weapon is good. It's not a bad weapon. It's just that because I'm low power level or powah level, it's, doesn't seem that it's that great. But the one thing that's really unique about this is Leviathan's Breath. Leviathan's Breath is still powerful, even if you are negative 35 at a GM. So this weapon that I'm using, the exotic, is really good. So even if I'm negative 39, this weapon is still going to be probably, really powerful. Now imagine if I was minus 25 for Warden of Nothing. Then probably the Leviathan's Breath would do way more damage than what damage is doing for this footage. And because I have the catalyst, I'm getting more ammo, so 15 ammo instead of 10 from what I remember. If you do add reserves for the Leviathan's Breath, it's still going to be 15 no matter what, which is disappointing Because I was hoping, you know, in the beginning when Leviathan spread had the catalyst, I wanted to try the reserve so I can get maybe 20 ammo or at least maybe 17, but it didn't work out. So there is a barrier champion, but look how much damage it did. Did you see that? One itty bitty void blast was nearly half of my health. But do you see the example of what I'm talking about, of how it was struggling to do GS, especially on Act 1? And this is why many players took a break. It was just ridiculous. And no, we couldn't micro like you PC players, you know, you could sleep peacefully and then just have the artifact power level go up. We couldn't do that. And that was something really unfair that I just did not like. And yes, I am going to say it. I was extremely upset because I wanted to get the solo GMs done and over it. But I couldn't. The only way I could think of, and a lot of my friends also who do solo content, you know, they were struggling as well. They had to wait for the next act and then just farm a lot of XP traps. You know, seasonal to level up quickly. And I was really hoping near Act 2 they were going to have the nodes available, but they didn't, unfortunately, until the last act. Now, what I could have done here is maybe I could have just turned invisible and then just do DPS of the barrier champion from behind. Maybe I could have done that method, but the thing is I haven't tried that method out because I don't really do that method, because usually on my other characters I just clear down the ads and then take down the champion. But yeah, isn't it fantastic? I mean, wow, Leviathan's breath is so powerful. My goodness. I do want to take down the hobgoblin snipers. They're the ones that are going to almost one-shot me, especially for this GM. Then we'll be dealing with the Hydra. I don't want to go up the stairs because I don't want to spawn the ads. I mean, everyone pretty much knows that. But yeah, I do want to take down the Hydra. And yes, it will take a while. But like I said, I'm not going to time skip. I'll probably time skip the DPS at the boss fight. That's about it. But everything else, I'm not going to time skip. I'm just going to let you see the damage, how much damage I'm taking and how much damage the weapons are doing on the bosses, on the ads, so you can get an idea of the difference when you are minus 25 or minus 35 or minus 40. When you are minus 40 in a GM, instead of getting the explanation points, you get these skulls. You get these skull icons on all the ads, and probably no one really talks about it or even mentions about it, or no one really thinks about it, you know. No one really is interested to test out the damage when you are low power level. Because basically when people do GMs, they think, oh, okay, I'm going to GM and I'm probably going to do the same damage as other players. Plus with the new perk, even if you're a low power level, your fire team could be to 2018, 2020, and then you'll get a boost up power level. You'll probably be around maybe 2015, for example, and you're not going to even feel like you're being demolished by overload champions or even bosses. So now we're going to have the surrounding ads once we take down the Hydra. I will let the train to try to one-shot them. So I can deal with the ads. So the Midnight Coup has explosive payload with kinetic tremors, so I'm just trying to take my time to clear these ads so I can deal with the barrier champions. Now there is one from the left side and one from the right. Everyone's different. I usually just like to take down the barrier champion from the right side because the right side champion is the one that I always have trouble with. And yes, I am using a pulse rifle. The pulse rifle I'm using is not so great anymore. It used to be the best, but I think they did some tweaks with the adaptive mutations perk for the energy primary weapons, because it doesn't seem that it's breaking the shield 2 shots, and it looks like it's doing around 5 shots. But I'm gonna count because I don't remember 100% how much bullets it takes to break the barrier champion when you are negative 35. I don't 100% remember, so I'm gonna assume that's 4, but I'm going to count and see how much it does so you can see the damage. And okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Five. Now, please tell me, please, and please, for the Guardian trolls, please don't comment and say, oh, you could have done this, oh, you could have done that. No, there was nothing I could do when you are negative 35 on a GM. Alright, it takes 5 bullets to take down the barrier champion on a pulse rifle. That is absolutely ridiculous. Usually it takes around maybe 2 to 3 at max, but 5? Are you kidding me? And the reason why is because I'm negative 35. I'm not negative 25, or if I'm in a higher power level, I guess I'll be more tanky. The damage is locked. But here's the thing, I haven't 100% tested out for this season because every year GMs are different. And every year I have to test it out. But I didn't have time. I didn't have time to grind the XP, and it was just too much work, you know. People have a life, right? I have a life. It was just not worth my time. I mean, why do that when I can focus on other stuff that's beneficial and more rewarding, in my opinion? But yeah, for some reason, it's taking 5 shots. And I was just laughing because I just couldn't believe it. I'm just baffled at the moment. So if it takes 5 shots for the pulse rifle when you are low power level on a GM. So remember, I am not negative 25. I'm doing this solo harder than an actual GM. You know, it's not fair. Really hate what they did with the XP throughout the whole end content for Final Shape. I'm not really happy. The XP was just really ridiculous. And poor new players. I could see why they wouldn't even bother themselves even coming back to the game. They would play other games, probably Warframe or First Descendant, or any other games that'll be out. So when you do clear enough ads, then you're gonna have this mini boss. Now, you're probably wondering what the Bungie's going on. Well, I'm out of ammo. That's one. I don't have Leviathan's breath, and I only can rely on the hand cannon with kinetic tremors. Now, what I could have done over here is I could have turned invisible and maybe look for some heavy ammo, but honestly, in my mind, when I was doing this run, I was so burnt out and so frustrated to the point where I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna use a hand cannon. I don't really care anymore. You know, this is ridiculous. That's what I said to myself. This is ridiculous. I don't want to push too harsh on myself, because trying to overdo it is just going to give me a migraine headache, and it's just not going to make me want to go back to the game. That's what I thought in my mind. So I did turn invisible, check if there's any heavy ammo, and unfortunately I didn't see anything. And because of that, well, I got no choice. I just have to use a hand cannon. I mean, there's really nothing I could do. a lot of work. So I remember on my last run, I was going for the prismatic strand subclass, but then I changed my mind and then decided to go for the Void Hunter so I can skip a bunch of ads and then just get it done. Basically, that's what happened. I didn't want to do the extra work. I felt like it wasn't worth it. When you're negative 35 or 36 or negative 40, it just feels like the ads are spongy, especially the champions and the boss. It just wasn't worth it. So I'm just letting everyone know I will take down the 2 unstoppable champions and then skip a bunch of ads because I don't want to waste too much of my time. The hardest part about this GM, that time, I mean, now it's easier because, you know, right now I'm 2015, so the damage I'm going to do is way different. And the resilience is different because I'll be more tanky than what I am in this footage. Where nothing's easier when you are negative 25. Now, liminality is a different story. I haven't fully test out what happens you are negative 25. All I remember is I think I was negative 34 power level that time. Or negative 35, I don't remember. I 100% remember that when I was using my super on my Void Hunter, I was only doing 3rd damage on a champion. I staggered an unstoppable champion, you know, like this. And then I used my super, and then it wasn't even half of the health or more than half of the health. He was just taking quarter health damage, like where in other videos when I saw players using their super on unstoppable champion, it was taking probably the whole chunk of its health or more than 2 bars. So for me, I was a little confused of why I wasn't doing enough damage to the boss, why I wasn't doing enough damage to the champion. It was because I was just low power level. End of story. And then I was also thinking of switching to my warlock, but then I said, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna wait. Alright, so this one's gonna be a little different. So there is going to be a bunch of Bungie Champions. There's 3 barriers, and then there's 1 overload and 1 unstoppable. Now everyone's different. I usually just like to take down the barrier champion from the left side. And that's me, by the way. Everyone's completely different. I mean, if you prefer taking down the 2 Vex champions, then go ahead. If you prefer taking down the unstoppable champion and then the barriers, go ahead. I mean, it's up to you. Now, there'll be 2 Vex champions, and they're going to be focusing on dealing with the Cabal champion. So I do want to focus on taking down the 2 Vex champions. Then later, I'll take down the Overload champion. Now, the Overload champion is distracted with the Unstoppable. That's why I didn't really bother harassing the Overload. Now, the one thing I like about this is they do like to huddle. And you must take them down quickly as possible. You can also farm your super if you need your super. But I don't think I need my super so much. I just need to use Leviathan's Breath. But remember, you do need to save some Leviathan's Breath for the capturing the zones or the mines, because that's probably going to be the hardest part of capturing it, especially when you are negative 35 or even worse. This objective is just going to be a struggle. And it's going to be harsh because ads are going to hurt you way more than minus 25. Your damage is going to be not that great compared to minus 25 GM. I mean, look how much damage I'm doing with the hand cannon on a champion. I mean, it looks like it should do more damage, but it's not. And the reason is because I'm minus 35 or minus 36. Now, I'm going to go and get rid of these mines because they're the ones that are going to mess up my run. I do recommend for a fire team to get rid of these mines because they do mess up your run. There will be an extra overload champion. You can actually skip one and still get platinum. Now, I haven't really talked too much about this because everyone pretty much knows about it, but I guess for new players, yes, there will be an overload champion, an extra one, and you don't have to take it down. You'll still get platinum. And not this overload champion, I'm talking about when capturing the 3 zones, A, B, and C. So I am saving Leviathan's Breath. I don't want to use it. I need it for capturing the 3 zones. That's why in this run, I'm just taking my sweet time. I mean, I don't want to use all of my heavy because it's basically the most powerful weapon I can use for this GM. And of course, you know, Dragon's Breath can also be a good weapon too, but I think I used that on my Warlock run, if I remember. Alright, so now I'm going to take down the Unstoppable Champion very soon, and then we only have 3, so hopefully maybe this champion will give me some extra bricks. Really hope so. If not, things are not looking pretty. Honestly, having 5 Leviathan's Breath is nerve-wracking. I mean, I'll be okay if I had 10 or 8. I actually found some heavy ammo, so now it's going to be easier. So now I'm going to be using Leviathan's Breath to take them down, and then using Leviathan's Breath to take down the champion. So this one's going to be a little tough, so I try my best to spam as much Leviathan's Breath as I can, but also at the same time, I do need to save a couple of dealing with the Unstoppable Champion. So yeah, this is going to be extremely nerve-wracking. So I have like around 36 seconds to capture A, but I do need to take down this champion and try my best to look for the Unstoppable. So the Unstoppable is all the way in the back. It looks like I have 20 seconds. So I want to make sure I take down Unstoppable as fast as I can. So just spam it, use your super. And I thought maybe I took down the Unstoppable Champion, but I didn't. But I had no choice, by the way. I had to capture the zone. Now, if I was minus 25, my super could have done way more damage, and I wouldn't really have to worry so much with the unstoppable champion lurking around. Now I'm gonna be diffusing the B for Bungie. I really hate B. Well, I think C is probably the worst of all. The worst one ever. I know for fire team it's a little different than solo, but I am gonna go around the map so I can go capture C. Now I was going for a strand subclass and I barely made it to C. So that's why I decided to just switch to Void Hunter. It will make life easier of capturing C. So there is an Overload champion around here, but you don't have to take it down. You can skip it and still get platinum rank. Once we capture all the checkpoints or the mines or the capture zones, we're gonna have the mini boss that will be lurking from the cocoon. And he likes to shoot arc blasts. And you can just take your sweet time. There's really no time limit. You can use your super if you want to, anything you want. If I had my super, I would use it right away, but I can't, unfortunately, or can't. So make sure you take down the boss. And yes, you can use Leviathan's breath. I think you can stun lock the boss, if I remember. I think I was just trying to save as much Leviathan's breath as I can. But like I said, if you want to use it, go for it. As I said, yes, you can stun lock him. So if you have Leviathan's breath on the fire team, you can stun lock the boss. And then your 2 fire team friends or blueberries, they can do DPS while you're spamming Leviathan's breath or stun locking him. I mean, it is the perfect strat ever. Definitely try it out. You know, you can stun lock the boss. And Leviathan's breath can actually stun lock other bosses, like for example, inside Terminus. And now thinking about it, maybe I might use Leviathan's breath for inside Terminus. Maybe. I'm not sure. I was thinking of using something else. The problem with inside Terminus is the ads, but then again on Warlock, you know, the Warlock is just too good. So maybe I might use it to see if I can stun lock the boss. Because I remember I did that. But I'll try it. I mean, if it doesn't work, then I'll just use a different exotic. Maybe Dragon's Breath, or maybe I'll use the auto rifle. Alright, so now we're gonna go claim the chest. So now we're gonna deal with more Bungie Champions. So this is the pre-boss room where there's gonna be 5 champions. Now I'm trying to remember while my guardian is going to the boss room. It's probably gonna be 2 bigger champions, one that does the machine gun, one with the Vex. Then a Overload champion, a Vex 1, and an Unstoppable Cabal. Now everyone's different. Now I try to take down Overload champion. Everyone's completely different. There are players who prefer to take down Unstoppable first and Overload champion. There are players who prefer to take down a Barrier champion and then Unstoppable and Overload, or Overload, Barrier, Unstoppable. Everyone's different. You don't have to copy of which champion I need to take down. I mean, in my opinion, I just prefer Overload first because I have the hand cannon and why not use it? Plus the ads are shooting the Overlord champion. That's one. So why not use it? So I will use the Leviathan's Breath to take down the Unstoppable. I do wish I had a lot of heavy ammo so I can use it for the boss fight, but like I said, I will do a mini time skip of doing DPS at the boss. You know, I already made you suffer enough, you know, of the damage I'm doing with the champions and the boss. So I might as well give a treat and time skip the damage here and there so I can save time and save your time as well. So now there'll be 2 bigger champions. Well, yes, so there is a Vex, but everyone's different. I prefer to take down this champion because he's very dangerous. I don't like him. You can do precision shots from the back or the head of the barrier champion. Just be very careful with his machine gun attack because that's what would really be dangerous for any guardian, is if you just stand there waving at it, then it will melt you. And yes, I did shoot the backpack, and the reason why is sometimes the backpack can one-shot me. And it has happened on dungeons. Let's just be completely honest, like duality. So when you do see a backpack, try your best to shoot it. That way you won't have any accidents of going back to orbit. So now we're going to deal with the Hobgoblin. The Hobgoblin's almost down. I'm going to use Leviathan's Breath, turn. You don't have to turn invisible. That's just a little extra touch. So I'm going to go to the second bar and then just go on the visible platform and then just do damage. Now, there is another cheese where you can go on top of the mini platform all the way from the right side, from where I am. Usually I would say left side if you are entering the boss room, but from this angle, it's from the far right side. Usually you get on top of the platform and then you kill the Vex champion once you are on the cheese spot. Not before you are on a cheese spot, after you are on a cheese spot. And then this one is you have to take down the Vex before you go on a cheese spot. So like I said, everyone's different, so I am going to do as much damage as I can. When the boss is really close to you, that's when you can use Leviathan's Breath. But the one thing I regret is I wish I had more ammo. I wish I had more heavy to show off more of Leviathan's Breath. That was one thing I was a little sad when I was doing this run, but you know, things happen and it was a bit shocking. It was a little sad because usually when you have double primary, you get a bunch of heavy, but for some reason in this video, I wasn't getting a lot of heavy as I wanted. So you can stand here and then the boss will slowly float to your guardian, and that's where you can use Leviathan's Breath. There is going to be hobgoblins from the right side, so just letting everyone know. And yes, I'm going to do a mini time skip right now, so I'm going to do as much damage as I can until the boss gets closer. This is a perfect example. The boss does get close eventually, but you have to be very careful. I was being a little careless here. You know, I was just trying to do as much damage as I can, precision shots, and then you can see that something was hurting my poor guardian, and it was more than half of my health. So the boss was also damaging me, so I had to crouch and then wait and then take him down, or do as much damage as I can. I'm using the hand cannon because I ran out of Leviathan's Breath, even though it was just 2. 2 ammo was just not enough, to be honest. But yeah, just keep using your super or anything you want, and then you should be able to take him down. So we finally took down the boss. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.